It's an outrage that Bournemouth twins with Netanya, built on the land of the village of Khalid and the land of Bedouin driven from their homes in 1948. Netanya was a military centre of Zionist terror during the Nakba. There should be no twinning with genocide. Not in Bournemouth, nowhere. The atrocity at the tent camp in Rafah has torn aside the veil of any pretense of the so-called international rules-based order. When Russia invades and occupies Ukraine, then so-called rules apply. When Fortress Israel commits genocide, it is, in the words of genocide Joe Biden, outrageous to suggest prosecution by the ICC. Biden's response to the massacre in Rafah, to the 800,000 who have again fled, to the tens of thousands targeted and killed, to the mass graves, to famine and war crimes, is that no red lines have been crossed. It was a GBU-39 bomb supplied by the United States that dismembered and burned Palestinians to death, decapitating infant victims. Last month, the US approved a transfer of more than 1,000 of the same bombs on the same day that Israel bombed the World Central Kitchen aid convoy in Gaza. And days afterwards, David Cameron and Kemi Badenoch declared that the rules on UK arms exports to Israel would continue. And now they claim the onslaught on Rafah is still not a full operation. Still not a full operation. As millions watch a genocide unfold in real time, they must be asking what in this hell, in this post-apocalyptic landscape of rubble and corpses, would a full operation look like? And Rishi Sunak declares the UK government position unchanged. That is why today is a national day of action under the banner of Stop Arming Israel. We need to build a mass political movement and a mass movement of direct action that forces the end of arms sales to Israel. And then we have Keir Starmer's Labour Party. Let this just sink in for a moment. In November, David Lammy, Shadow Foreign Minister, declared that attacks on refugee camps can be legally justified. He too, in my view, has the blood of those victims in Rafah on his hands. I believe there are two camps. There is the camp of military power, of state power and repression, of racism, of vast arms industries. But ours is the camp of revolt, the camp of freedom, justice, common cause against oppression, war and genocide. It is the camp of Palestine. We see it. We see it in the mass protests of millions around the world, in the student encampments. By the way, did you know 45% of students in American universities support the encampments? Only 23% oppose. That is in the heart of the beast. I think that shows us that we're only beginning to tap the mass potential of our movement. And standing here as a proud anti-Zionist Jew, it is a great sight to see the radical Jewish tradition re-emerging in new form at the heart of those encampments. There to oppression and violence. They can't win the argument, but they continue for a reason. We need to know our enemy. They support Israel because it is a unique fortress of imperialist interests in the Middle East, an indispensable bulwark against Arab revolt in the most contested region in the world. They pour billions of dollars into the coffers of the Sisi regime in Egypt, while Sisi bans protests for Palestine and jails the protesters. And in the same breath, and by the way, just one thing, when Michael Gove says Jews only join marches on condition that they knuckle under, obey the rules laid down by the march organisers, accept the calls to globalise the Intifada or end Zionism, I have a message for Michael Gove. I don't knuckle under. We are bearing our knuckles for a fight like no other. Gove and the rest don't defend Jews as Jews, never have and never will. They only defend Jews on condition they are loyal to the British state and its imperialist interests. And in the same breath, they echo far-right ideology of the great replacement of racism, Islamophobia. Today, in London, Tommy Robinson has called a Nazi demonstration hoping to rise on the back of anti-Palestinian racism and Islamophobia. They are a threat to the Palestine solidarity movement, and it's a tribute to Stand Up to Racism, the Muslim Association of Britain, leading trade unions, that they're confronting them in Whitehall as we speak, and solidarity to them. I'll finish with this. Palestine is a turning point in politics. There is no going back. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. That is not just a phrase. Palestine speaks to the cause of all those resisting oppression and violence and racism. And I say this, in those struggles of all the oppressed lies the road to Palestinian freedom. That is not to diminish the resistance of the Palestinians themselves. It is to raise it up. It is to say that Palestine is the test. It is the test of resistance to oppression, injustice, inhumanity, genocide and war. And I say this, I want to see the globalisation of revolt and the globalisation of revolution to see this disgusting system done away, to end genocide, to end national oppression, to end racism, to end war. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea.
That brings us together. Thank you a million, Rob.